DETV News is powered by DART, Delaware's transit service. Moving forward.
Tonight, a fiery debate at Legislative Hall. A proposed ban on gender transition surgery for minors divides lawmakers. What's next for the bill? Plus, a controversial end-of-life bill clears a major hurdle. Delaware lawmakers pass a measure that could give terminally ill patients more control over their final days. And property tax reassessments are shaking up homeowners. What you need to know before the appeal deadline. Those stories and much more straight ahead. DETV News begins now. Hello and welcome to DETV News for Thursday, March 20th. I'm Matt Ford. Here's what's making headlines today across the first state. We begin today in the state capitol, where a Republican-backed bill to ban gender transition surgery for minors sparked heated debate on Wednesday at Legislative Hall in Dover. Senate Bill 55, sponsored by Senator Bryant Richardson, would prohibit public funds from insurance covering the procedures and could lead to doctors losing their licenses for referring minors for treatment. Supporters argue children should not make irreversible medical decisions, while opponents, including Committee Chair Senator Marie Pinckney, say the bill unfairly targets transgender youth. The Democrat-controlled legislature is unlikely to advance this measure, but Pinckney says the debate is far from over. Staying in Dover now, lawmakers just narrowly passed a controversial end-of-life bill this week, moving it one step closer to becoming law. House Bill number 140 passed the House in a 21-17 vote this week and would allow terminally ill, mentally capable adults with 6 months or less to live to choose to end their lives. This bill, similar to a measure vetoed last year, would permit mentally capable adults with 6 months or less to live the request for medication. Supporters, including sponsor Representative Eric Morrison, say it offers dignity and choice, while opponents like House Minority Leader Tim Dukes argue against it on moral grounds. Governor Matt Meyer has pledged to sign the bill if it reaches his desk. The measure now heads to the Senate for consideration. And staying in Legislative Hall, a new bill introduced here in Delaware could increase mental health services for residents. House Bill 54 claims to create the Delaware Office of Suicide Prevention within the Division of Substance Abuse and Mental Health. Delaware is, get this, the only state without such an office. The bill's co-sponsor, Representative Eric Morrison, said the state is missing an opportunity to improve suicide prevention efforts. The CDC supports 49,000 suicide deaths nationwide in 2022, including 130 right here in Delaware. The office would develop a statewide suicide prevention plan, assist the Delaware Suicide Prevention Coalition, provide guidance, and oversee funding as well as grants. House Bill 54 was amended on March 18th and renamed it DJ's Act in honor of advocates and families who inspired it. It passed the House Health Committee this week and awaits further review. Now, if it's passed, it would go into effect immediately. And the Delaware House Committee has advanced the controversial Senate Bill 21 you've been hearing about, a measure that would overhaul the state's corporate laws, despite strong opposition from legal experts and institutional investors. The legislation, already passed by the Senate, would limit lawsuits and information requests from investors alleging conflicts of interest or insider dealing. The bill is sponsored by Senate Majority Leader Brian Townsend and many Delaware General Assembly members, also backed by Governor Matt Meyer. Aims to clarify corporate decision-making by providing safe harbor protections for independent directors and refining shareholder governance rules. Supporters argue it strengthens the first state's standing as the top state for incorporations, claiming it will prevent companies from moving their incorporations elsewhere. Critics, however, warn the legislation weakens oversight and favors corporate insiders. Dubbed by critics as the billionaire's bill, those opposed say it undermines Delaware's judicial authority in corporate governance and could enable corporate corruption. The bill now moves to the full House for consideration. And Delaware lawmakers are also pushing for tighter school board governance with a package of 5 bills aimed at transparency, operations, and public participation. The proposed legislation follows controversy, including Christina School District's handling of its former superintendent and a State Department of Justice ruling that its board violated open meetings laws. Among the bills, requiring virtual attendance options, clarifying residency rules, mandating background checks, and enforcing training on public meeting laws. The measures now head to the House Education Committee for review. And speaking of schools, Newark lawmakers are again pushing a per-student tax on the University of Delaware, aiming to help close the city's $6 million budget deficit. The proposal would allow Newark to tax up to $50 per student per semester. City officials argue UD's tax-exempt status, which was granted back in 1915, strains local resources in Newark. They say the university's expansion has driven up rent and shifted tax burdens onto Newark residents. UD counters that and say that it contributes millions of dollars to the city through utilities, rental taxes, and public safety support. Supporters stress the tax would be on the university, but opponents worry costs could be passed down to students, especially those already struggling financially. This bill, introduced by Representative Cindy Romer, passed a House committee and now heads to the full chamber for a vote. And Delaware lawmakers are again debating a proposal to move the state's primary election to align with the presidential primary. During a committee hearing this week, Representative Stephanie Bolden urged support for House Bill 65, which would shift the state primary to the 4th Tuesday in April. Bolden cited low turnout, noting just over 16% of voters participated in 2022 and just over 22% in the year 2024. Supporters, including voting rights groups, say the change would increase turnout and streamline our elections. The state election commissioner estimates it could save $1.5 million in administrative costs. Critics warn it could discourage late deciding candidates and make voter education efforts more difficult. The bill stalled in committee, but Bolden said she will seek additional signatures to advance it. If passed, the change would take effect in 2028. And we're going to take just a quick break from the headlines now and get a look at the upcoming weekend weather forecast. Stay with us. Welcome back. In case you missed this news earlier this week, a former priest along with a former teacher now facing charges accused of sexually abusing children decades ago. Prosecutors say 80-year-old John Taggart was a priest and 57-year-old Christopher Crisona was a teacher at St. Thomas the Apostle Church in Wilmington, as the alleged abuse took place between 1994 and 1996. Police say both men sexually abused a victim repeatedly during the victim's 7th and 8th grade years. Taggart was transferred to another church the year after the alleged crimes happened, and Crisona was removed mid-year following a student complaint, but would go on to work at 3 different religious establishments. Another priest named John Francis O'Brien was also indicted in this case, but he has since passed away. And a former Brandywine School District counselor faces at least 20 years in prison after pleading no contest to second-degree rape. John Arnold of Fairfax was arrested just last summer after a Newcastle County police investigation. Prosecutors say the victim was not a student. Authorities are still seeking other potential victims and urge anyone with information to contact Newcastle County Police. Attorney General Kathy Jennings said the sentence ensures that Arnold cannot harm anyone else. Police Chief James Leonard called the outcome a step toward justice for this victim. Continuing on, a 13-year-old boy has been charged with first-degree murder in the shooting death of a 19-year-old Ogletown man. Officers responded to Clarion Court in the Kimberton neighborhood on Sunday afternoon after reports of multiple gunshots. 2 homes were struck in this incident, and detectives later learned that 19-year-old Jaheel Jackson had arrived at Christiana Hospital with a gunshot wound to his upper body. He was pronounced dead at the hospital. Police identified the Wilmington area teen as the shooter. He was arraigned and remains in custody on $170,000 cash bail today. And a correctional officer at James T. Vaughn Correctional Center has been arrested for allegedly smuggling methamphetamine into the prison. State police say 27-year-old Yesenia Martinez Morales brought nearly 6 grams of meth into the Smyrna facility. The Department of Correction launched the investigation, which led to her arrest on multiple felony charges, including promoting prison contraband and possession of a controlled substance. Commissioner Tara Taylor said the agency is committed to keeping contraband out of prisons and holding offenders accountable. Martinez Morales was released on a $3,500 unsecured bond. And a 22-year-old man was shot and killed Monday morning in Wilmington on the same exact block where his twin brother was gunned down more than 3 years ago. Police say Zaire Davis Sheldon was shot on the first block of West 27th Street just before 10 a.m. He was taken to a hospital where he later died. His brother, Zion Davis Shelton, was killed there in October of 2021. Community members call the violence a tragic cycle of retaliation. No arrests have been made in this case. Anyone with information is asked to contact Wilmington Police or Delaware Crime Stoppers. And Wilmington police detectives are asking for the public's help here in identifying a woman whose body was found along the banks of the Christina River just a few weeks ago on March 4th. The discovery of the decomposed remains was made in the 1100 block of East 7th Street around 6 in the evening. Police say an autopsy revealed that the woman was a white woman between the ages of 25 and 35 years old, and that she may have been in the water since December. There were no immediate indications of foul play, according to police, but the cause of death has yet to be determined. Detectives have released photos of 2 tattoos on the woman's body in the hope that someone may recognize them. Anyone with information in this case is urged to contact Wilmington Police. And Newcastle County residents can get some help filing property reassessment appeals at local libraries happening over the next week. Take a look at your screen here. County Executive Marcus Henry announced that volunteer realtors will assist homeowners ahead of the March 31st appeal deadline. More than 2,600 formal appeals have already been filed. The realtors will help residents gather comparable sale data to support their cases before the Board of Assessment review. Sessions are first come, first serve, we want to let you know, and pre-registration is required. Appeal forms must be submitted by March 31st, that's next week, at 4 p.m. More details are available on Newcastle County's website. And on that same topic, Sussex County residents have until the same day, March 31st, to appeal their new property tax reassessments. The reassessment follows a lawsuit over Delaware's school funding, requiring all 3 counties in the state to update property values for the first time in decades. Well, the county's Board of Assessment review will hear appeals over the next few months. Residents can view their reassessed property values and file appeals at sussexcountyde.gov. While reassessments impact tax bills, Delaware law limits how much revenue counties and school districts can collect. Sussex County says it will remain revenue neutral, meaning property tax rates will decrease. A new tax rate is expected this May, with bills issued in August. Staying in Sussex County, the Dewey Beach Town Council is considering raising hourly parking rates from $3.50 to $4. Councilman Paul Bauer says the increase would help cover operating expenses and employee salaries, including police and lifeguard pay raises. The proposed rate would match Rehoboth Beach, while Bethany Beach is also weighing a similar hike. The council is set to vote on this change at its meeting that's happening Friday. And Dover officials are considering a rate increase for water and wastewater services. This is to offset rising costs and fund infrastructure improvements. The City Council Committee of the Whole unanimously voted to move the proposal forward. City Manager Dave Hugg says skyrocketing material costs, including a 200% increase in water treatment chemicals, make the hike necessary. Mayor Robin Christensen says the proposed 3% to 5% increase would be minimal, but essential for maintaining water quality and service. With federal funding uncertain, some council members say that the city must find local solutions. The final vote is expected in June, with new rates potentially taking effect in July 1st of 2026. And Kent County is using $5.3 million in federal funds to build 2 new paramedic stations in the southern part of the county. Groundbreaking ceremonies were held on Tuesday in Harrington near Frederica. Officials say the stations will improve response times and bring emergency care closer to residents. Levy Court President Joanne Maston called the project a significant improvement in the community, its health and safety. Both stations will feature bunk rooms, offices, rest areas, and garages for medic vehicles. The Frederica site will also include a warehouse for emergency equipment. Funded by the American Rescue Plan Act, the stations are set to open in December. And some bittersweet news, a longtime farm stand up in Chadds Ford, Pennsylvania is closing after nearly 4 decades in business. H.G. Haskell III, son of former Delaware Congressman and Wilmington Mayor Hal Haskell, announced on Wednesday that he's retiring and has permanently closed SIW Vegetables. The seasonal farm stand, known for its fresh produce and heirloom tomatoes, has been a staple in the community since 1986. Customers say they will miss the market, often called Haskell's, which also sold local eggs, honey, and homemade goods. Haskell said that he was weathered by many challenges, but was always committed to providing fresh food. He is still considering the future of SIW's events. And hey, for all you Titanic lovers out there, check this one out. North Wilmington's Snuff Mill Restaurant and Butchery is offering a one-of-a-kind dining experience, recreating the final first-class meal served aboard the Titanic. The first ever titled First Class Fare, Titanic's Last Dinner, takes place Sunday, April 6th. Guests will enjoy a 5-course meal paired with wines from historic winemakers, accompanied by live string music. Snuff Mill's owner Bill Irwin says that the dinner is an opportunity to experience a piece of Titanic's story in a unique and markable way. Tickets will set you back $500 and must be purchased in advance at Snuff Mill's website. Sounds good, and that's going to do it for this edition of DETV News. Be sure to follow us all around your favorite social media platforms for updates on what's happening all around the state of Delaware. And if you have a comment, question, news, or sports tip, feel free to send it our way. We want to hear from you. Contact us at press@detvch.com. For all of us here at DETV, I'm Matt Ford. We'll see you right back here next week. Good night. We don't talk about prostate cancer enough, and it's the most diagnosed form of cancer and the second most common cause of cancer death among Black men in both Delaware and the United States. Approximately 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime, but just by asking your healthcare provider if you should get a screening could help you detect prostate cancer early and save your life. So let's talk about it. Talk to your healthcare provider today about a prostate cancer screening if you are 40 years of age or older, or have a family history of prostate cancer. If you don't have insurance, or if your insurance doesn't pay for cancer screenings, Screening for Life may provide you with the screenings that you need, and Nurse Navigators make this process easier. To learn more, visit healthydelaware.org/prostate or call 211. Ask your healthcare provider about a prostate cancer screening, and you're asking for so much more.
My name is Jason Aviles, and I am the founder and owner of Fly Yogi. And I'm here to share with you some tips to be able to help fight opioid addiction. Opioid addiction is a real growing problem here in America. And I'm here to share with you some tips that you can be able to integrate into your everyday life to really fight against opioid addiction. One of the first things is redeveloping your mindset. One of the practices that I like to use daily is meditation. And what meditation does is it brings you clarity of mind, and it helps keep you grounded, and it improves your ability to make decisions that you are going to benefit from. A lot of the time we find that addiction is rooted in our mindset. It's rooted in how we think and how we perceive, and therefore how we act. So this is a really good way to help fight against that energy of addiction. The second thing is improving your lifestyle through diet and exercise. At the very root of addiction, there is substances within the body that's causing the addiction on a physical level. When we begin to introduce healthier foods, plant-based foods, we begin to remove and detox the substances that are in our body that's causing and attracting the addiction. So through incorporating more fresh fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, grains, and even drinking water on a daily basis, you're going to put your body in a state where it's going to be able to fight the root causes of these addictions. The second part is exercise. Exercise is good for mood. It's good for energy. It's good to increase vitality. It's good to get your heart pumping and get your blood flowing and get oxygen moving throughout the body. So through engaging in physical exercise, complemented by incorporating healthier foods, you're putting your body and your mind in a state where it does not want what's causing these things that are manifesting negatively in your life. So addiction can really be decreased by just incorporating a healthier lifestyle through diet and nutrition, exercise, and then also making sure that you're tackling the mind through mindset, through meditation.